Coming up tonight on Fifth Third Business Beat, Argosy Casino is expanding and rebranding. A local internet company wants to be the source for rental listings. Real estate developers find their own sources of income to help them gain assets. Business Courier reporter James Ritchie tells us about one local institution with hundreds of job openings. Experts discuss what it will take to return Cincinnati to a bustling city of development and growth. Fifth Third Chief Investment Strategist John Augustine looks at this week in the stock market. CPA Chuck Stevens has some last-minute tax tips for those who still have to file their returns. Doug Selhorst joins John Spencer for the Gehring Center Report. And John Prout, CEO of TriHealth, sits down with Doug Bolton for Publishers Beat.
Fifth Third Business Beat is brought to you in part by Fifth Third Bank and Cincinnati Bell.
Hello, I'm Brian Patrick. Welcome to Fifth Third Business Beat for Friday, March 20th, 2009. On the front page of this week's Business Courier, a story of the rebranding of a local casino into a Hollywood-themed attraction. Argosy is undergoing $326 million in expansion that its owners hope will keep its customers coming back. Argosy hopes to reclaim some of its customers lost to two new horse track casinos in the Indianapolis area by setting up a Vegas-style gaming parlor. It also hopes the new decor and 41 poker tables will be enough to fight off the potential casino developments in Cincinnati and other nearby communities.
I think this is going to be the place to play poker in the Midwest, and I can't announce it yet, but we're working with a very nationally renowned poker brand, and it's my hope that we're going to have a nationally televised poker tournament from this room on an annual basis once a year.
Everything will be bigger at the new casino, which is being built on a new barge structure that sits next to the original riverboat. Crews are working on finishing the interior, which boasts a city park, an urban streetscape, and Hollywood Bowl.
We have this 40 or 50-foot serpentine video wall that is going to be constantly showing a variety of content that is going to make your experience change each and every time you come. We have Hollywood on the roof that will have the capabilities of live entertainment, sports programming, other music videos, and other entertaining ways that we could utilize that.
Rodeo predicts the new casino will generate $7 to $10 million more a month than Argosy brings in now. A local man claims his business is the largest rental resource in the U.S., and his market share keeps rising. Rent It Today started in January of '06 as a magazine listing properties for rent. 18 months later, one of its owners decided to build a model on the web. Now, no matter what you're looking to rent, you're likely to find it listed on this site.
In this short period of time of 6 months of this system being out there, we probably average about 2,000 new listings a week. Unique listings, which could be anywhere from boats, cars, RVs, baby equipment, segways, golf clubs, kayaks. Of course, real estate is always going to be huge.
Rent It Today employs around 10 people, but Glass and his partner hope to increase that number to as many as 50 employees in the next year or so. Some developers are using this economic downturn to their advantage. They want to raise millions of dollars in equity and use it to get millions more in assets. Nair Properties and Ackerman Group are both circulating private placement offerings to raise equity. The offerings come as the nation's capital markets remain mostly closed to commercial developers. Dan Nair of Nair Properties says he's not sure how long it will take for the economy to recover, so his company is putting together a plan that will let them purchase assets for the next 5 years.
We're raising $25 million with the private placement to pursue real estate assets in a 100-mile radius of Cincinnati.
By mid-May, Nair says he expects to have all the funds raised, then begin going after the acquisition targets his company has already identified. Back to the front page now, a story by James Ritchie on Children's Hospital, how even in the midst of the recession, continues to hire people. What are the numbers, James? How many people have been hired this past year?
Since June of 2008, Children's Hospital has hired about 800 people. That brings the total up to well over 11,000. The interesting thing is just 3 years ago, they were just over 8,000, so that's about a 40% increase.
What kinds of positions are being filled at Children's?
The big ones are nurses, administrative assistants, patient care assistants, and customer service representatives.
So how many positions are available right now, and how many people are applying for these positions?
Right now they've got about 700 openings, and how many people apply depends on the position. For an administrative assistant position, they get about 300 to 400 applications, about double what they usually would get. Now, nurses are in their own category. Children's has a special recruiting team for nurses. As you know, there's a nursing shortage everywhere, and if a nurse calls Children's Hospital looking for employment, that team gets back with the nurse within 24 hours.
How does this compare with other hospitals in the Cincinnati area?
Hospitals everywhere have been growing for the past decade or so, and that includes employment. However, in the last year or so, there's actually been some decrease in greater Cincinnati of about 2,000 positions, which is about 6 or 7% decrease.
With everything else shrinking in the economy, what does Children's attribute its growth to?
For the last 10 years or so, their CEO, Jim Anderson, has focused on making that hospital a top 5, top 3 children's hospital nationally, and he knows even in a tough economy, he's got to continue building these programs and recruiting the best researchers he can find from all over the country, and that results in growth.
So Cincinnati Children's is successful in drawing patients from all over the country.
Right now, about a quarter of their patients come from outside greater Cincinnati.
All right, an incredible story of growth in the recession. Thank you, James Ritchie. Be sure to read James' story on the front page of this week's Business Courier. Here's the Courier Greater Cincinnati Stock Index. We track the performance of about 40 local stocks, comparing them with the broader market using the Dow Jones Wilshire 5000 Index. The market surged last week. Both the local index and the overall market soared about 12%. What will it take to return Cincinnati to its former glory? The Business Courier addresses that topic at the Commercial Developers Power Breakfast later this month. Patricia McGeever reports 3 guests will offer advice.
It should be very clear to us here in Cincinnati that we have to have a healthy downtown in order for the suburbs to thrive.
But after the 70s and 80s, when retail and construction downtown began to wane, there was never a consensus on how to bring it all back. Our interests were divided, but that has changed.
Finally, we now have a vision from leadership in this city, county, city, other organizations such as 3CDC, leadership from the University of Cincinnati, which is so important, that really has us all marching on the same path, marching to the same tune, in that we can make this downtown great if we focus on all elements.
Restoring downtown and the immediate surrounding areas is the topic of the upcoming Business Courier's Commercial Development Power Breakfast. It will feature 3 guest speakers, including Amy Liu, Deputy Director of the Brookings Metropolitan Policy Program, UC President Dr. Nancy Zimpher, and Steve Leeper, the CEO of the Cincinnati Center City Development Corporation. 3CDC has been working for almost 5 years to restore properties in Over the Rhine.
We have about 200 condominiums presently, either completed or under construction. We've sold about 70% of the ones already completed. We have another 100 presently under construction, but we've been very fortunate over the last week. We've secured about another 5 new contracts in the neighborhood. So people are still buying. There's a strong interest in the neighborhood. They like what they get for the price. And certainly the historic renovation is very attractive to people. And combining that with a great little retail district that we have here in the Great Gateway Quarter, I think really makes it a very pedestrian friendly for the people who live here.
We have a great bedrock of Cincinnati companies that are going to help us ride this economic storm out for sure. And then along with that, we have some great momentum going on Fountain Square, in Over the Rhine, potentially on Broadway Commons, and then not the least of which is the activity that's happening on the Banks and the Riverfront project. So that's why it is so important that downtown Cincinnati, the Center Core, the Riverfront, Over the Rhine, the entire CBD become a center of attraction, a center of industry that will make our entire Ohio, Kentucky, Indiana, and the 2.5 million people who call this home feel very good about what we have here in this region.
Brian, the experts say there is real progress being made right now. The area is no longer being pulled in different directions, choosing one side of town to develop over another.